Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to talk about why Mutant Mayhem, the newest Ninja Turtle film that in my opinion is nothing to brag about in terms of a Ninja Turtle film, why it didn't use the iconic 80s theme song. And I'm happy about that. I mean, the last Ninja Turtle product that used the 80s theme was actually the Michael Bay's Ninja Turtle movie Out of the Shadows, which is his last movie. And in the credits, we hear the 80s Ninja Turtle theme song, or a remix of that. And we get a little hint of the ninja rap in there. It's so cool. I'll put that like the remix that I'm referring to, which is called Turtle Power, in the description below, so you guys can listen to it as well as this article. So that said, let's keep going. Let's actually see why, like, the reasoning was. I'm actually happy that I didn't use the 80s theme. Anyways, Mutant Mayhem director Jeff Rowe opted to avoid the franchise's most iconic theme to prevent alienating audiences. Rowe broke down his reasoning during an interview with last film, not only that the inclusion of the music made popular by the original cartoon series would only have been appreciated by some fans and not general moviegoers. It works for a certain crowd, and it works for a certain era of nostalgia for this franchise, and it's exciting on opening weekend. But then, hopefully, this film is remembered longer than that. The filmmaker elaborated that the addition of references to the past can result in a movie becoming unnecessarily dated by only appealing to a single demographic of fans. Quote unquote, when you put those things in, it dates it. And I think it robs of being its own iteration, which was really important for us to make this just stand on its own feet, and it a first reintroduction of the characters, so the temptation of was there, but I always squirmed away from it. First off, I feel like the only place, if they did pull it into the mix, like into the movie, I think the only part that could make sense in putting it in was when the turtles were fighting those gang members that stole April's bike, and when Mikey got out into the car. Besides having the ninja rap, is one of the very few things I appreciated as a Ninja Turtle fan. They could have replaced that with a 80s theme song, and they said that they didn't want to date it, right? Well, I'm sorry, but them making so many puns to things nowadays. Yeah, so might last 5 years, maybe 10 if they're lucky, but like it won't last. It won't stand on its legs as good as to say as, like, for example, the 90s cartoon. I mean, now I'm confused, mixing in my head. Sorry, the 90s trilogy and the 07 movie. Because the reason why I'm saying that is because certain Ninja Turtle movie, whether it's the 90s trilogy, the 80s cartoon, trying to leave the shows out of this, but the 90s trilogy, the 07 movie, the Turtles Forever movie, the Michael Bay movies, or even the Batman versus the Ninja Turtles film, right? They all make puns. But they focus more on the story, the characters, than the puns. And I'm not saying that this movie didn't rely on, like, story and the characters. It relied on the story and relied on the characters. Sure, not, like, compared to, like, the other films in the Ninja Turtle lore, not as good as the others. But still, it focused on story and plot. But it also, like, focused a lot on, like, references. Like, let's say because TikTok is something of a controversy, and like it's or has some sort of controversy surrounding it, I have to say. And we don't even know if TikTok is going to be a thing. In like 5 years, 10 years. If kids go back, kids in like 5, 10 years from now, goes back and watch Mutant Mayhem, who's Wendy Williams? Who's what's a TikTok? Sure, some fans were saying, what's a ninja rap? I feel like kids who like parents forced them to watch like the original trilogy Ninja Turtles and made them watch like at least one series of the Ninja Turtles. I feel like the kids, especially like the 2012 series as well, which also have the Ninja rap dance in it, could catch on to more things that they try to like make not towards the Ninja Turtles and like past Ninja Turtles entities. I feel like then the current day pop culture shit. Like even for example, I quickly caught on to the puns that they made for Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. My brother asked, like, because I kind of gasped with Kevin Eastman, because hearing Eastman High kind of brought up the memory of me meeting Kevin Eastman in person at C2E2, March 31st this year, right? My brother didn't catch that. And he had asked me, what? Did I miss something? And so I told him. So that when we got there, I said they made a punch of both co-creators. People like me will get those, like, that and the Ninja rap, right? And, like, when the Turtles' pupils were white, right? When the Turtles' eyes were white, when they were pupilless. Now, there's two ways Ninja Turtle fans can, like, receive that, right? Either, maybe, like, hey, that's a punch to the original Ninja Turtles in general, right? Because I heard they didn't have pupils, right? Or people like me who grew up on the '03 Turtles, who was like, sure, for me, I have the '90s trilogy. I'm not dissing that, but like for me, the '03 Turtles were like the Turtles that really got me even more hooked into it. The Turtles I grew up with, and so the last two seasons of the Ninja Turtles, that version of the Turtles, they have pupils, but for the most part they didn't. So like for people like me, you can say, that's like that. Is that a pun to the '03 Turtles? Oh snap! Like, you know, like it was cool. Like have those little nods. The movie was not that good, and I think it didn't need to like worry about aging itself with making like puns to like have throwing in the '80s theme song. Because I feel like they already aced themselves by having so many nowadays puns. So again, I don't think this film, Mutant Mayhem, will age, in terms of their worry about aging well. Sure, will stay on its 2 feet for a short period of time, but like, regardless of how I feel about the film, whether I think it's good or bad, I don't think it's I don't think it will stand on its own. In like what, 5 years, 10 years? After like what? They're completely done with these with this iteration of the Turtles, when everything's said and done, when the 2 movies are out with the 2-season show that they're planning to do. How well will this series stand on its own in completion? Based on Mutant Mayhem, not for that long. Like, in terms of, like, references, pop culture references, I don't think it will stand on its own for that long. Story-wise, it doesn't, like, relate, like, honoring the Ninja Turtle lore, that's a whole different story, but we're just talking about pop culture references right now. Anyways, story takes a seat. Not using the classic theme song isn't the only Matrix franchise staple Rowe opted to exclude. The director briefly admitted that the villainous Shredder was meant to feature in Mutant Mayhem, but he was ultimately cut to improve the movie's narrative. Fans need not worry, though, as Ro has confirmed, the leader of the Foot Clan will play the Teardrops in the future. Yeah, no, like they had an after credit scene, right? And Cynthia Utrom says bring in the Shredder, and we see this admittedly cool back shot of the Shredder, teasing that okay, the Shredder's gonna be in Mutant Mayhem 2, or what, like whatever the official title for Mutant Mayhem 2 is. Which I'm hoping it's not called Mutant Mayhem 2, because that would be lackluster. Like, Shredder Rises. Something like that, I don't know. Anyways, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is the franchise's latest reimagining, as it brings the Heroes in the Half Cell into the modern era. The film's unique animation style and heartfelt writing earned it plenty of praise from both critics and fans, with Paramount announcing plans to develop a sequel shortly after its premiere. A sequel, like a 2-season series based on these turtles to bridge the gap from Mutant Mayhem to whatever the sequel's title's going to be. So, as the time of this recording, Mutant Mayhem is currently playing theaters. I think I'm kind of like torn in this scenario, because on one hand I do appreciate them having Shredder take the backseat so another villain can actually have the spotlight, right? I do appreciate that. But at the same time, based on how I feel about this film, which you guys can see with my initial review of this film, I don't know, like, I don't know how to, like, really feel about the sequel on the series, because on one hand I really want to be excited. I genuinely want to be excited. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been my life. It's pretty much the core of who I am. I've been a Ninja Turtle fan since I was like between the ages of 2 and 4. I say this a lot on my channel, thanks to my sister. So the Ninja Turtles are literally part of who I am. I live, breathe Ninja Turtles. The Ninja Turtles are literally part of my identity. Not only exactly part of my like username, but literally part of my identity. Just like how Star Wars is part of my identity, with how much I involved myself into the Star Wars universe pre-Disney. Star Wars is part of me, Ninja Turtles is part of me. And nothing, and this goes for Star Wars too, nothing will make me more happy than for a Ninja Turtles film to get me fully excited, fully invested, me walking out of the film or a series saying, you know what? This is really good. I love this. Sure, it has some issues, but I can really feel the love, the love, the sweat, and the tears into this. I can really feel the essence of Ninja Turtles into this. Like, will I ever watch Mutant Mayhem again? Not on my own. I want to turn it on like I do with the previous Ninja Turtle movies before, like, even the Rise Turtles film. I only, like, watched that twice. Only to get, like, really take everything in before making my review, which I have up on this channel, but, like, would I really want this? Like, on one hand, I want to be excited, but on the other hand, I'm not. And so, like, those two sides are battling each other out. I will be watching the sequel for sure. I don't know about the series. but the sequel for sure, because I know, like, one, because a lot of you guys will be wondering how I feel about it, and two, so I can get a review out in general. More content, right? So, anyways, the Shredder thing I can understand more than the '80s film, because like '80s theme song, because I feel like the '80s theme song, wouldn't have aged this really in any way, if that makes sense. There's some fans might have only gotten it, and some people going to the theater might have said, "This is a cool song," or like, "Wait, what?" But like, for example, the 2012 theme cartoon, I believe the ringtones were to the '80s theme song. So like, what is the 2012 show aged poorly because of that? I don't know. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Be kind of one other. I will talk to you, fellow mutants, later.